Hello and welcome to a VO's Journey podcast. My name is Anthony Pica. This show continues to be a place to start and grow your voiceover business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. It is, what day is today? Today's Monday, May 8th. Great to talk to you. I am recording on my brand new Manly silver reference microphone. So thrilled to be just sharing that with you. And while I talk to you about today's topic, and today's topic is, diving in, I think, on something so vital to our success, and that is booking more jobs through Archetypes. And I'm going to talk to you about this, how you can book more voiceover work by just working on your voice acting archetypes. Okay, let's do it. This is VO's Journey. With your host, the incomparable Anthony Pica. All right, so real quick, if you haven't had a chance to check out a VO's Journey Elite Academy, you should. Actually, if you haven't had a chance recently to go check out a VO's Journey, the website, you should check it out because I basically spent, about a week or 2 weeks redoing, kind of refacing the website, and, you getting an opportunity to see that. Tell me what you think. I'd appreciate it. I think it looks so much better. It's funny because if for how long you guys have followed me, I've had a VO's Journey, for years and years now. And I the website itself has, always been the backbone of, it's of a VO's journey, but it's kind of been one of those things where I've been like, oh, well, we need a rate card, or we need a rate guide. We need, my podcast needs to be up there. We need tongue twisters. We need references to this and that. We need an equipment store. We need a place for my courses. It's always been a hodgepodge. And if you guys remember, the front page for the longest time really was like just a big landing page for courses. You'd go there and it was just like all my courses were on the front page. And then I was like, nah, I don't want all of them there. What about the Elite Academy? And then it just went from one thing to the other, and there wasn't a lot of cohesiveness. So I'm really excited to say I feel like that's changed. The website is just so much more unified, really looks wonderful, and it ties in very well, I think, with Academy Voices too. That's a big, a big push that I'm really working on too. Academy Voices, bringing voiceover work, to our voice actors. So, I'm really excited about the look of everything. Now, I still got a lot of work to do on the site, but I think that gives a good, just a good view of where I am with design right now. And it's just clean, it looks good. And like, for example, it's funny, even the checkouts, they're all like different. Everything was just different. Imagery was different. There wasn't any really not a lot of cohesiveness. So I've really tried to bring that. Like I said, there's still a lot more to do, but the main system pages, most, like the offers, all the things on there are a lot more cohesive. So I'm really excited about that. All right. So anyways, thank you for indulging me on those few couple of comments. What I wanted to talk to you today about, which I've chatted about. I chatted about a little earlier in a video I made, and as well as the coffee talk this morning, and in our flashback series, and that's all about this idea of, as actors, we have the challenge of bringing out characters, bringing out real emotions in certain moments, bringing out performances from words on a page, a couple of directions. And how do we do this in a manner in which is, lively and effective and relatable? How do we go about doing that in a fast timely manner. As a stage actor, and even somewhat of a TV actor, but more as a stage actor too, you get time to really go in depth, right? And experience. I talked a little bit about method acting, and the idea behind method acting is it's a method in which an actor seeks truth, right, through self-awareness. And that self-awareness comes through, practice and actions over time, of getting to know yourself better, but putting yourself in situations where you get to discover things about yourself. And then from that, you can in turn put that into your performance. Well, as voice actors, we don't have that time. We don't have that time at all. And the perfect example of this is for people who really struggle with auditioning and getting better at auditioning, getting work through auditioning, or people just getting jobs in general. And then when you get a job, having to perform on the spot. I mean, that's what voiceover is, right? It's us having to perform on the spot. And it's not improv, right? Because we actually have a script with directions, and that it's not improvisation. Even though there is most of us who have not really built these archetypes, which I'm going to talk about, use improvisation to improvise emotion, right? We don't improvise the words, we don't improvise the setting or what we're doing, but we improvise emotion. And that can be challenging for a couple of reasons. One, you may not be very good at improvisation. Two, you may not have built a base to draw from, which is what leads us into archetypes, right? That's the challenge with relying on improvisation of emotion on the spot. That's hard. So this idea with building archetypes, it's kind of an old word that's been around for a long time that I feel like I've kind of just retailored it into this idea that we are going to be creating, or we need to create as voice actors, these go-to, almost, I'm going to use pre-recorded, but right, these go-to pre-made archetypes that we can draw upon when it comes time to do an audition, when it comes time to do a performance, okay? And through these bases of archetypes, these bases of pre-made deliveries, then within those, we can add, change, shift around some of our expressions, our deliveries through improvisation, right? But the key, right, to being more successful with auditioning, more successful with jobs, is to build out these deliveries. I mean, think about it. If you think about anyone that you are familiar with as a voice actor, someone that you really like, you like their work, they have built archetypes that they use that everyone really loves, and they go to those no matter what, and we're all like, oh, they're just so good, because they've built these things that they've just practiced over time, over and over and over again. So, for example, today I did a video on nurturing, right? The nurturing archetype. And some of the tactics or tools we talked about doing more nurturing. I showed a video of a woman or a voice actor who, did a spot for, I think it was a Huggies commercial or Pampers. And, it was just very nurturing, loving. And how she did that, right, was she got closer to the microphone. She got closer to the microphone like this, lowered the volume in her voice, made it a little bit more whisper, more breathy. And it just felt like she cared, right? Like I'm doing right now. She lowered the amount of air and, I hit the microphone, but lowered the amount of air she had. And then, she smiled. And that smile means everything. All right, I'm going to back up now. You get the idea, right? Like there's some things that you can build pre-made that we can practice, that when someone says, or a perfect example, you go and you audition and you look at a script and be like, okay, they say they want, you to be nurturing. You can be like, okay, I have a nurturing archetype. I know to do X, Y, Z with my voice. All right. And then you can call upon that. And then they might say, well, there's a part in here where you want to be a little bit different. Well, then you can use that base and then improv the different different emotions to bring about a truly unique performance, but from a base that you've already made. You've pre-made it. And you can do this for all kinds. I find that most people typically have 1 to 3 to start with. Everybody's got one, because that's what we, when you step up to a microphone, you have one. whether anyone wants to listen to it, right? That's what we're all trying to figure out. But we always typically have one. Now, the other things that, so that's why I say you typically have 1 to 3, because you might be more aware of being like, oh, well, I need to be softer with this one, or I need to be more authoritative with this one, right? More declarative. We can start to build these, though, from... So you might logically say, well, okay, well, this is great. I love this. I'm digging it. But where do I find these, right? How do I know what are different ones? Well, I think, so I mentioned nurturing. We all have heard of conversational. We know this type of conversational read is always asked about. We're always say, hey, we want you to be more conversational. There's authoritative. So there's these tones. So I like to start with tones, and there's really 6 main tones, 4 to 6. We talked about, we've got conversational, nurturing. We have authoritative, enticing. And those 4 right there are really good. And you can actually mix and match those. But there's tones. You can find so much on the internet about different voiceover tones and things. I mean, a lot of voiceover websites now too, casting websites and things, they actually have those tones listed all over the place, funny, sarcastic, sexy, all these kinds of different things. And basically, our job then is to take these tones, right, and then build out archetypes by adding specific delivery methods to them, so that when we go to audition, when we go to do a job, we're ready. We're ready, whether it's live, whether it's this or that. And what you'll find, I think what you'll find is that, one, you no longer have to worry about, well, what am I going to do when you step up to a mic? I know if you guys are anything like me or like I was, I really did. A lot of times I wondered about, what am I going to do? How do I do this? And for about 1.5 years, especially when I first started, I literally, every time I started to record something, I literally felt like I was going to, I was doing it a different way. I needed to, I would step in front of the microphone. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this today? What is it going to be like? And then I would just start, and I'm like, I don't like that. I was always searching for something, which again is a very live stage kind of approach to finding a character, right? But for us, we don't have time for that. And by the way, that's exhausting. We've got to record, we've got to audition, we've got to audition, we got to record, we got to create samples and demos. We got to do so much. We need to be able to just get this stuff out. And the time to try out what I was just doing there is not when we audition and not when we do our work. It's when we're in the practice phase, like we're talking about right here, when we're trying things out, when we're searching and say, okay, I want to create a new delivery. Another thing to take note is that I'll never forget when I first couple of years, I did the best I could. I got some work. And but I wasn't getting a lot of work, and I wanted more, like we all do. So what I did was I started to go to people's demos. I started to go to their websites. I started to go to casting websites and just listening. Now, of course, for me, I was listening to men, and I was trying to really specifically listen to the men who were being hired a lot, and listening to their deliveries, their demos, their work, everything I could find. And what I found is that most of what they were being hired for, most what men were being hired for, especially around my age, the way they were delivering voiceovers was not the way I was, right? I was delivering it very much like this, and, come on now, stop on by, that kind of thing. Because me, when I get excited, my voice goes up in pitch. So I had to, learn, right, how to really do, get my voice more down like this so that I could deliver something different. And interestingly enough, I found that the more I do this, I feel like my voice is kind of leveled out. So like the more I do, the more people want my voice to where it is now. But the funny thing is I can't tell now, years and years and years in the voiceover industry I've been, whether my voice is, finally just at a point that when I do voiceover work, it is what it is because of what I've created in the past. Like my general conversational style read has become more natural to me, natural feeling, as opposed to me creating a character. But as a deep read, because I view all of these archetypes as characters. So you can call them characters, you can call them archetypes, you can call them, your pre-made reads, whatever you'd like to call them. You can call them anything you want. But this idea that you go into this with a plan, with an idea, is so helpful. And I struggled a lot with that. So after this couple of years, and when I finally figured out what these guys were doing in my mind, I started to imitate them to the best of my ability and create my own version of it. And lo and behold, I started getting booked double, triple, quadruple. Literally, it was massive, the difference. My business jumped from, low 5 figures to over 6 figures because of this change. I made new demos. I just changed everything, and it just changed my life. Completely changed my life forever, from really diving into understanding that there are specific deliveries, and there are deliveries that people want. So here's the idea too. I always use this analogy like playing sports. When you play sports, you have to learn the rules in order to break them. Okay, you've got to learn the rules, and also, in sports too, right? You got to learn the rules, play by the rules, but within those rules, you can be creative. You can be your own. You can create your own world, but there's rules there. And I think in voiceover, it's very similar. There's a lot of unspoken rules. And what I mean by that, rules-wise, is, or I should say, unspoken expectations, right? When someone hires you, they have 99 out of 100 times, right? They've got some sort of expectation in their mind, even if it's not completely clear to them on how to relay that to you. Typically, they have expectations, especially in specific genres, because they're used to that. That's what they hear. That's what we hear. So they're expecting something similar to that. So for us, I think it's so important to capitalize on that and know that we need to have deliveries that are going to match that, right? And so this is where it's important to me that you just take a step back and look and say, hey, how many of these do I have readily available that if somebody asked me to do this script, 2 different ways, 3 different ways, 4 different ways, I could very convincingly read these differently with these, sharing a story differently. Because in the end, it's about subtext, right? It's about it's not always about what you're saying. It's about how you're saying it. And that's what we're getting at the heart of this. So, how many could you do? Could you do 1? Could you do 2? Could you do 3? Could you do 5? It gets it gets a lot harder to go up. You might realize, well, maybe I only have 1 type of read. Maybe I have 2 reads. Maybe I do have 3 reads. Are you, are you a one-trick pony, or do you have, are you like trifecta? Do you have 4? Do you have 5? Are you able to share multiple messages with the same words? What's really cool is after a while, when you get good at this, you won't even need words. You can use blah, 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 blah. You can start to do all kinds of different, blah, 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 blah. Like you could start to, you don't even need words. And that's where it gets interesting, because remember, it's how you say something is just as important as what you are saying. And that's where these archetypes come in handy. All right, look, I hope that this has been cool, helpful to you, giving you some thought. Check this out. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this and I teach and going to be teaching even more of this in the Elite Academy, because I think it's funny even now more than ever, especially with AI, you guys, our performances, they matter more than anything. We need to be great actors, and we need to be better actors than AI. Now, we can be, right? Because remember, AI is just a regurgitation of what we've done. So we can be better. They are just competitors. And you know how you know they're competitors? Because they're charging too. That's how they're a competitor. So you just have to be better. I mean, that's all that it is. And, this is one way. Your acting will always set you apart. No matter what, your acting will always set you apart. Okay? Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. Make sure, again, if you can, leave a review for the podcast. Again, you know me. I always say, I'm going to do more. But this time I'm going to keep it off. No, this time I will try. So thank you guys again. Check out the Academy, if you'd like to get more of this training too. And I appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Peace.